What if I told you that 2026 will not be better than 2025 unless you become better than you are today? Time doesn't change lives, decisions do. Ladies and gentlemen, if 2026 is going to be your best year, it will not be because the economy improved, luck found you, or circumstances became convenient. It will be because you decided to upgrade the way you think, choose, and act. Your life does not move in the direction of your wishes, it moves in the direction of your standards. So today, I want to talk about 5 goals that, if you commit to them, will permanently raise the ceiling of your life. Goal first, decide who you are becoming. Most people focus on what they want to have. High performers focus on who they must become. Before results change, identity must change. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your self-image. In 2026, make this your first goal. Upgrade your identity. Start saying, I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I am disciplined. I am valuable. I am paid for what I know and how I think. When your identity changes, your behavior follows automatically. Goal second, get ruthlessly clear. Clarity is not optional. It is a success requirement. Confusion is expensive. Clarity is profitable. If you don't know exactly what you want, you will accept whatever shows up. And whatever shows up usually isn't what you deserve. In 2026, decide, what do I want financially? What do I want relationally? What do I want spiritually? What do I want physically? Write it down, refine it, read it daily, because a clear vision creates decisive action. Goal third, increase the value you bring to the marketplace. Money is not earned. Money is attracted by value. Your income will never consistently exceed the value you solve for other people. So the goal is not make more money. The goal is become more valuable. Learn skills that solve problems. Learn how to communicate ideas clearly. Learn how to position solutions effectively. In 2026, commit to becoming so valuable that money becomes a side effect, not the pursuit. Goal fourth, stack skills. Don't chase opportunities. Opportunities come and go. Skills compound. One skill can change a season. Multiple skills can change a lifetime. When you combine skills, communication, leadership, sales, critical thinking, you create leverage. And leverage creates freedom. In 2026, don't ask what opportunity is hot. Ask what skills will still pay me 10 years from now. Because the person with the most skills in the room will always have options. Goal fifth, build an environment that forces you to grow. You are not just a product of your decisions, you are a product of your environment. If everyone around you thinks small, you will struggle to think big. If everyone around you tolerates mediocrity, excellence will feel uncomfortable. In 2026, upgrade the voices you listen to, the rooms you enter, the standards you accept. Your environment should stretch you, challenge you, and demand more from you than comfort ever could. Let me leave you with this. Success is not about motivation. Motivation fades. Success is about alignment, when your identity, clarity, skills, environment, and execution all point in the same direction. If you commit to these 5 goals, 2026 will not just be another year. It will be the year everything changes, because you changed first. Decide today, execute daily, and don't negotiate with the version of yourself that wants to stay the same. Identity always comes before achievement, whether people recognize it or not. Every result you see in your life today is a reflection of how you see yourself, what you believe you deserve, and what you subconsciously allow. Long before success shows up on the outside, it is decided on the inside. People don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because their self-image cannot sustain a higher level of results. You will never consistently outperform the version of yourself you believe you are. Most people try to change their outcomes without changing their identity. They say they want more money, better relationships, stronger discipline, or greater impact, but they still see themselves as inconsistent, unqualified, or average. That internal contradiction creates self-sabotage. When your identity and your goals are misaligned, your behavior will always defend your identity, not your ambition. That's why people quit when things get hard, procrastinate when it matters most, or shrink when opportunities appear. It's not lack of ability, it's loyalty to an outdated self-image. Your identity is the story you tell yourself about who you are. And whatever story you repeat long enough becomes a belief. Beliefs drive decisions. Decisions drive habits. Habits produce results. So if you want different results in 2026, the first upgrade must be the story you tell yourself starting now. You don't wait for results to change who you are. You decide who you are, and the results catch up. When a person decides, I am disciplined, they stop negotiating with excuses. When a person decides, I am valuable, they stop undercharging and overgiving. When a person decides, I finish what I start, quitting no longer feels like an option. Identity simplifies decisions. You don't have to debate what to do when you know who you are. Your behavior becomes automatic because it's aligned with your self-concept. This is why lasting success always looks effortless from the outside. It's not because the work is easy, it's because the work matches the person. The struggle disappears when growth aligns with identity. You stop forcing habits and start expressing who you've already decided to be. Discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like integrity. In 2026, the most powerful decision you can make is not about what you want to achieve, but about who you are committed to becoming. Decide that you are the kind of person who prepares before opportunity arrives. Decide that you are the kind of person who keeps promises to yourself. Decide that you are the kind of person who thinks long-term, acts intentionally, and refuses to settle. Once that decision is made, everything changes. Your standards rise. Your tolerance for distraction drops. Your confidence increases, not because you feel ready, but because your identity no longer allows retreat. Achievement becomes inevitable when identity leads the way. Clarity is one of the most underestimated forces in personal growth, yet it is the foundation of all power. When a person lacks clarity, effort is scattered, energy is wasted, and progress feels slow no matter how hard they work. Confusion doesn't just delay results, it quietly drains momentum. A clear mind moves with speed and confidence, while a confused mind hesitates, overthinks, and settles. The difference between average results and exceptional ones is often not talent or opportunity, but precision of thought. Most people think clarity will come after they start, but clarity comes from deciding. Waiting to feel ready is a subtle form of procrastination. When you refuse to define what you want, life defines it for you. And the default version of life is rarely extraordinary. Vague goals produce vague outcomes. Saying, I want more without defining what more means guarantees frustration, because the mind cannot pursue what it cannot see. Clarity creates power because it eliminates unnecessary decisions. When you know exactly what you want, what you are willing to accept, and what you will no longer tolerate, your daily choices become simple. You stop reacting and start directing. You no longer chase every opportunity, you filter them. Focus becomes natural because distractions no longer match the vision you've defined. Energy flows toward execution instead of debate. A clear vision also builds emotional stability. Many people feel overwhelmed not because they have too much to do, but because they are trying to do too many things that don't align. Clarity brings peace because it gives your effort a purpose. You may still face pressure, obstacles, and uncertainty, but you won't feel lost. When the destination is clear, temporary discomfort feels meaningful instead of exhausting. Clarity also exposes the real cost of inaction. When your goals are undefined, procrastination feels harmless. But when your vision is precise, delay becomes expensive. You can see exactly what is at stake. That awareness creates urgency, not panic, but commitment. You begin to treat your time with respect because you understand what it is funding. In 2026, clarity will be a competitive advantage. The world rewards those who know where they are going while others remain distracted. Decide what matters most in your life, your finances, your health, and your growth. Write it down, refine it, and revisit it daily. The clearer the target, the stronger the execution. Power does not come from doing more, it comes from knowing exact. Apply what deserves your effort. Most people are taught to trade time for money, and while that model can create survival, it rarely creates freedom. Time is finite, and when income is tied directly to hours worked, growth is always capped. No matter how hard you work, there are only so many hours in a day. This is why many people stay busy but never feel ahead. They confuse effort with progress and exhaustion with success. The real shift happens when you stop asking how much time something takes and start asking how much value it creates. Value is what the marketplace rewards, not effort. Two people can work the same number of hours and produce dramatically different results because one creates more value in less time. Value is measured by the size of the problem you solve, the number of people you impact, and the permanence of the solution you provide. When you understand this, you stop chasing more work and start designing smarter outcomes. Creating value over time means building things that continue to produce results long after the initial effort is complete. It means systems instead of constant labor, assets instead of obligations, and leverage instead of hustle. A well-developed skill, a strong idea, a repeatable process, or a scalable solution can pay you repeatedly without requiring your presence every moment. This is how income becomes predictable and growth becomes exponential. Many people delay this shift because it requires patience and foresight. Immediate rewards are tempting, but they often come at the cost of long-term freedom. Value over time requires thinking beyond today's paycheck and asking what will still be valuable next year, 5 years from now, or even a decade from now. This mindset separates short-term earners from long-term builders. When you focus on value, your decisions change. You invest in learning, that compounds. You prioritize, quote, quality over speed. You stop selling your availability and start positioning your expertise. Instead of asking, how much will this pay me now? You ask, how long will this continue to pay me? That question alone reshapes careers, businesses, and lives. In 2026, the goal is not to work more hours, but to make each hour more valuable. When you create value that endures, time stops being your limitation and starts becoming your ally. Freedom is not found in doing less. It is found in building what lasts. Most people rely on a single skill and hope it will carry them through every season of life. While one skill can create income, it rarely creates leverage. The world no longer rewards specialists who remain isolated in one lane. It rewards individuals who can combine abilities in a way that multiplies their impact. Skill stacking is the process of intentionally developing complementary skills that work together, allowing you to produce results far greater than any single skill could on its own. A single skill makes you useful. Multiple aligned skills make you indispensable. When you combine knowledge with communication, strategy with execution, or creativity with structure, you create a unique value that is difficult to replace. This is where leverage is born. Leverage means your effort produces a disproportionately large result. Instead of pushing harder, you position yourself smarter. Many people struggle not because they lack talent, but because their skills exist in isolation. They may be knowledgeable, but unable to communicate clearly. They may be creative, but lack systems. They may work hard, but lack strategic thinking. Skill stacking removes these limitations by filling the gaps that prevent momentum. Each new skill strengthens the others, creating a compounding effect over time. Skill stacking also increases adaptability. Markets change, industries evolve, ND opportunities shift. Those who rely on one skill are vulnerable to disruption, but those with multiple skills can pivot without panic. They don't start over, they rearrange what they already have. This flexibility creates confidence because you know your value is not tied to a single role, title, or trend. The key is intentionality. Skill stacking is not about learning everything. It is about learning the right combinations. Skills that increase leverage typically fall into categories like problem solving, communication, leadership, persuasion, and execution. When these are layered on top of technical or professional expertise, they amplify results dramatically. In 2026, leverage will belong to those who can think, communicate, and execute at a high level. Don't ask which skill will make you money fastest. Ask which combination of skills will make you valuable longest. When your skills work together, your effort multiplies, your opportunities expand, and your growth becomes inevitable. Whether people realize it or not, environment is constantly shaping their decisions, their beliefs, and ultimately their destiny. No one operates in isolation. The places you spend time, the conversations you hear, the content you consume, and the people you associate with are quietly programming your standards every single day. Over time, what feels normal becomes acceptable, and what becomes acceptable eventually becomes permanent. This is why environment is not a background factor in success, it is a driving force. Most people overestimate the power of willpower and underestimate the power of surroundings. They believe discipline alone will carry them forward, but discipline weakens when the environment constantly pulls in the opposite direction. It is difficult to think big in small rooms, difficult to stay focused in chaotic spaces, and difficult to grow when everyone around you is committed to staying the same. Environment either supports your vision or silently erodes it. Your environment influences what you believe is possible. When you are surrounded by people who complain, settle, and justify mediocrity, ambition begins to feel unrealistic or even irresponsible. But when you are exposed to people who think strategically, speak intentionally, and execute consistently, your own thinking expands. You don't have to be motivated, you are simply influenced. Standards rise naturally when higher standards are normalized. Environment also determines the quality of your inputs. What you listen to daily becomes your internal dialogue. What you repeatedly see shapes your expectations. If your environment feeds distraction, fear, and short-term thinking, your decisions will reflect that. If it feeds growth, accountability, and long-term vision, your behavior will begin to align without force. This is why changing your environment often produces faster results than trying to change yourself through effort alone. In 2026, upgrading your environment is not about abandoning people or pretending you are better than others. It is about protecting your future. You can love people and still outgrow the rooms they are comfortable in. Growth requires exposure to new ideas, new perspectives, and new standards. Without that exposure, even the most driven individuals eventually plateau. When you intentionally place yourself in environments that challenge you, your thinking sharpens, your confidence strengthens, and your actions become more decisive. Destiny is not shaped by a single moment, but by repeated influence. Choose environments that reinforce who you are becoming, and your future will begin to align with your vision naturally and consistently. Execution is where belief proves itself. Faith without action is nothing more than intention and intent. Ion without movement produces no results. Many people gather information, attend events, read books, and visualize success, yet remain stuck because they never cross the line into consistent execution. They believe mentally, but not behaviorally. Real faith is not passive optimism. It is active obedience to the vision you claim to believe in. Execution requires faith because results rarely appear immediately. You must act before you feel confident, move before you feel ready, and commit before you have certainty. If proof came first, faith would not be necessary. Most people hesitate because they want guarantees, but growth demands trust in the process. Those who wait for perfect conditions never begin, and those who begin imperfectly often finish strong. Faith-driven execution changes how you respond to resistance. When obstacles appear, you don't interpret them as signs to stop, but as confirmation that progress is happening. Resistance often shows up when momentum is building. Doubt, fear, and discomfort are not indicators of failure. They are indicators that you are leaving familiarity. Faith allows you to keep moving when emotions try to negotiate retreat. Execution also reveals what belief cannot hide. You cannot claim discipline and live inconsistently. You cannot claim confidence and avoid responsibility. Action exposes alignment or the lack of it. This is why execution is uncomfortable. It forces honesty, but it is also empowering because every completed action reinforces identity and strengthens belief. Confidence is built through evidence, and evidence is created by action. In 2026, execution must become a daily practice, not an emotional response. You execute when you are tired. You execute when motivation fades. You execute because you decided, not because you feel inspired. Faith shows up in routines, habits, and follow-through. It is expressed in S&M. All actions repeated consistently, not dramatic moments of enthusiasm. When execution is guided by faith, progress becomes inevitable. You stop waiting for clarity to turn into certainty and start allowing action to create clarity. Movement sharpens vision. Commitment strengthens belief. Execution is not the end of faith, it is the expression of it. And when faith and execution work together, momentum replaces hesitation and results become unavoidable. As we close, remember this: the next year will not demand a new version of the world, it will demand a new version of you. The greatest transformations never begin with luck, timing, or permission. They begin with a decision to think differently, to act intentionally, and to hold yourself to a higher standard than comfort requires. When identity leads, achievement follows. When clarity replaces confusion, power is released. When you focus on creating value over time, freedom becomes possible. When you stack skills, leverage multiplies your effort. When you choose your environment wisely, growth becomes inevitable. And when you execute with faith, progress continues even when proof is delayed. 2026 is not waiting to see what happens to you. It is waiting to see what you decide. Decide who you are becoming. Decide what matters. Decide to move, even when it's uncomfortable. Because the future does not reward intention, it rewards alignment and execution. If you commit to these principles, 2026 will not just be another chapter. It will be the turning point, the year your actions finally matched your potential, and your life began to reflect the standards you chose to live by. The choice is already in your hands. Step forward and make it count.